What's up, my ninjas? It's Strident, and I am back with a quick review. This time, it's not an action figure or a vehicle or anything like that. It is a video game, kind of a throwback review because I used to be a fan of this game, and then I wasn't a fan, and then I was excited, and then now we're here, Mortal Kombat. So I gave my review the first time based on my thoughts on what I had seen with the game and watching other people play who are fanatical about this game, and watching different reviews, and a lot of there are a lot of things about this game that put it up there with the best in terms of presentation. But one thing that I notice with a lot of today's games, and by today's games I mean maybe the last two console generations, more so this one than the last. Fun factor. Games like this are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be challenging, and they're supposed to be fun. If you're like a 13-year-old boy, then blood gushing all over the place is so awesome and so cool. You're so amazed at how visceral a game can be. In Mortal Kombat, though, it feels like your people are made of paper mache or made of porcelain, because every punch rips skin off, and you can see their muscles underneath their clothes, and you get kicked in the face and your eye pops out, and it's like, the fuck kind of fighters don't have some type of resistance to getting beat up to a point? I boxed. I even do quote-unquote mixed martial arts, and I've been doing this for most of my life because I've been training in Jeet Kune Do, and we spar 95% of the time, and none of us got kicked in the chest and our ribs started showing. And the kicks and punches in this game aren't even really that hard. They're not like Marvel vs. Capcom, or the original Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, or Street Fighter 3, where it's super exaggerated. They're just really basic, simple kicks. Some of the kicks are more advanced, but still the reaction and the speed and the impact is not as hardcore as it should be for that kind of reaction. So I don't know. So as many of you know, I'm going to get to the formal part of the review. As many of you know, in the early 90s, Midway Games came out with a game called Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat eventually would go on to become the game that caused video games to have ratings, essentially. I mean, there are a few PC games that always had a rating, almost like a movie rating, because they were adult games and things like that, but just console video games weren't rated up until Mortal Kombat. So because of Mortal Kombat's gratuitous violence, we ended up with the ratings board for video games and console video games. And it went on to be, one of the goriest, and others tried to eclipse it because it was more senseless. But Mortal Kombat had a visual style that felt like an old kung fu movie. It had a lot of throwback characters that were parodies of things from Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that. And I mean, it just had a nice style. And where you had Street Fighter with its 2D sprites, you had Mortal Kombat, which was the other side of the coin, with its like stylized violence and its digitized photographic sprites. So the characters look like real people. This is what always set Mortal Kombat apart from the others. Mortal Kombat had two sequels. The Mortal Kombat 2, it expanded on your character selection. You only had a little bit more characters, which like Jax and who was another one? You had Jax. You were able to play as Shang Tsung, and there was one or two more Baraka, and it was a little gorier because the characters were a little bit bigger. There was more detail on them, and some of the characters who only had one, actually everyone had two fatalities, and they were worse than the others. Some of them were they expanded on the original fatalities. Others were just completely new, gory, gruesome ways to kill your opponents. Part 3 had, I want to say, let me see, Ultimate, and it had about 2 iterations, and then there was the trilogy, which was every sprite from all games, all put in there. So every character ever put in Mortal Kombat up to that point was in this game. My favorite of the series was the trilogy because it had everything. Anyway, then we had about 4 subpar polygonal Mortal Kombat games with poorly done character designs that seem to bite off of everything in pop culture, from Shredder to blaxploitation films to Street Fighter to SNK characters. I mean, there were a lot of very just uninspired designs. Fighting systems that were all over the place, where characters were supposed to switch styles, but you only had like one long combo and like a handful of moves in your styles. The styles didn't actually match what was going on, and I know a lot of you don't know this, but if you're a martial arts fanatic, you know what the stances look like, you know what the movements look like, and if you like kung fu movies, you've seen this stuff before, and they didn't quite get it. The story was just super contrived, and it just felt like they were trying to cash in really hard. Then we had Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I'm not even going to go into that. It was one of the dumbest ideas ever. The engine actually had a nice little overhaul, but yeah, it's not worth mentioning. So now we get MK9. New studio, new direction, with a lot of old thrown back in. Instead of you having preset combos like in the original games, this one claimed to have a dial a combo system. Now, this is my first gripe. You know, people who, like me, who play SNK games and Street Fighter, and, you know, almost any Capcom fighter, and then Tekken, we know the difference between preset combos and having the freedom to dial your combo in. This game does not actually have a dial a combo system. It has preset combos. And you could break up the combos and try to link things where you see an opening to create juggles or combos that, you know, kind of give you the semblance of a long combo. They aren't actually free moves that you can just use and link the way you want to. You can only link them successfully in the combos that are preset in the game, which is pretty much like the original combo system that was implemented in Mortal Kombat 3. The moves in the game feel kind of stiff, and there are some moves that are really well animated that look nice, but then there are other moves that it's just like, why can't I go from quick punch, punch, punch to kick? Or why can't I do punch, punch, kick, 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 punch, punch, kick? Why do I have to only do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? You know, this is the way the game was created, so I understand. You take it. This is the style that they're giving you. But you feel limited because you watch Kung Fu movies. If you watch the Mortal Kombat movies and the series, you see the kind of martial arts, the kind of combinations these cats throw, and you're not throwing them in this game. There are a bunch of cool moves, I'll give them that. They motion captured some really cool stuff, and they hand animated some cool stuff, and I'll give it to them. It's more martial arts than the 4 polygonal games that came before this. The game is rendered nicely. The character models are some of the nicest ones I've ever seen. The atmosphere is nice, but the music sucks ass. Except for the few songs that straight up come from the original Mortal Kombat games, there's nothing to write home about in this game as far as music goes. The music sounds like fucking porn. It's just bad. I've read all these reviews and I watched reviews where people said the music is badass and blah blah blah. You guys are on crack. This music is shit. It makes you wish for the music from the old games. The old games had a foreboding, powerful sound to it. You could hear the bass in these songs from anywhere in the arcade. That was how distinct the sound Mortal Kombat had was. Even the sound effects in this game, you know, you're getting kicked by Shao Kahn so hard that you go flying across the screen and you lose like half your energy, but the sound effect sounds like a slap from the Matrix. I mean, what the fuck? That's my other gripe with this game. When the computer wants you to lose, you lose. This was an issue I've always had with Mortal Kombat. It always gets too hard in places. It goes from, even on easy, or beginner, I'm sorry, it gets hard. And I beat this thing on beginner. Easy, medium, hard, the whole 9. And easy sometimes had matches where the computer was doing things that it shouldn't be doing on easy. Beginner was even worse because it was all over the place. You know, your first match was really hard, your second match was stupid easy, and then it's really easy, and then you get to a boss and you just can't get a hit in, you know? And I'm not a scrub, you know? There's no two ways about this, you know? Like I said, I've won a lot of East Coast tournaments in Street Fighter, and I win tournaments right here on a regular basis in Tekken. I've won East Coast tournaments in Tekken. It's just, Tekken has always been my thing. Street Fighter actually has been my thing since I first started playing fighting games. I'm really good at SNK games, so I'm not a novice when it comes to fighting games. This game is one of the cheapest games I've ever played. Everybody already has similar movesets, but the characters with teleporting attacks seem to dominate the game. Characters like Noob Saibot, characters like Sector, characters like Kung Lao. Even though his teleport, you actually have to do more with it. Teleporting attacks seem to rule this game. Melina, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And I don't know how anyone could say this game is tournament ready. There are certain characters who have basic combos that hit you 6 or 7 times. Those are the characters that most people should be using, because those are the characters that would dominate you if you get caught in the combo. You know, Baraka being one of them. Some moves, straight up, they tried to bite off the armor system from Street Fighter with your EX moves. This game also has EX moves in it. Why? I don't know. I guess because it's the order of the day, and because nowadays fighting games don't have their own identity. They have to imitate what's popular. And, you know, in this we get Mortal Kombat with EX moves. It's a more powerful version of the moves you already have, as if we needed this. But anyway, so you do your EX move, and your character will do his move with added effect and added hits. You know, okay, whatever. Some of the EX moves have armor properties, and it seems like the armor properties are all over the place, you know? Like in Street Fighter, an armor property only means that you take 1 or 2 hits, depending on the size of the character and depending on the character, you know? Some characters can take 3. In this game, I can't tell you what it is, because at one point, they can't take anything even when they do that move, and I hit them out of it. At another point, they eat up all of my attacks, you know? Shao Kahn's moves, I can't even begin to tell you how many times his moves did different things, you know? When he throws his lances at you, the lance usually slowly, line by line, goes to the ground. Whereas, you know, in reality, spear arcs. But they created a tailor-made motion for this spear. But if you jump, it'll line by line go up. And when I say line by line, just imagine a line facing from Shao Kahn directly to your character, and you move the line upward each time. Straight line, but move it up. That's the path that this spear or lance or whatever you want to call it, that it travels. His freaking hammer. I don't understand this logic behind the way these moves work. I mean, he was already a prick before. Almost everything he does takes hits. He can power through your attacks. This game is 3D, and when I say 3D, you're moving. Your characters are polygonal with 3 dimensions, but you play on a 2D plane, and you still can't hit fireballs or projectiles. Everybody in the game has one, but you can't hit your projectiles. I mean, some of the choices are just stupid. Some of the X-ray attacks, yes, I get it. It's to be visceral, and some of them it's like, wow, that's really messed up. But as far as a fight goes, these moves, they do what they want to do in certain situations. Raiden's moves, his X-ray moves, I'm sorry, they take off energy after you've been hit. So you hit them and you see the hit, but then after the hit is done, then your energy goes down. I mean, I guess that's not a big deal, but it's just little things like this that I noticed that I'm like, what the fuck? You know, usually you play a fighting game, when you hit them, the energy meter goes down. As you hit them, it goes down immediately. Not each time it's going to be different, and it's going to go down, like, you know, after you've already completed the attack. I mean, that's kind of strange to me. Some of the attacks, the other strange thing is just the way that the impact works. You know, you would think like in the old Mortal Kombat, you uppercut somebody and then they're in the air and you're free to move around, unless it was a counter. In this game, it doesn't happen like that. It seems like you always, depending on, I want to say depending on who you play, because I fought people who did it. But I was playing as Liu Kang most of the time, and Jax and Raiden, and every time I uppercutted someone, I couldn't follow up with something afterwards. And I'm like, why did they change that? Counter system. It doesn't feel like counters do more damage than your regular moves, and a lot of characters have these weird counter moves that the game doesn't play at a speed where a counter like that is effective, and you have it and it just feels like what was the point? You know, Mortal Kombat seems to borrow these days a lot of moves from Street Fighter and some moves from like even the Naruto games, and I was like, wow, okay, I guess a ninja's a ninja, you know. But overall, it's a pretty game, and I think if you're a fan already, all of what I just said is gonna just fly right over your head, and you're just gonna love it. And I think in general, you know, this console generation, we've been so hungry for good fighting games that when Street Fighter 4 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, we were just like, ooh, fighting games. Even though there were good games already out for the system, it was like, now you have a choice. You don't have to just play Tekken, you know? Now you have Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and you have a couple of SNK games like King of Fighters, was it 13 or whatever? So, I don't know. I think it's because we've been deprived for so long that a lot of people have been like, this is just amazing. Now, the thing I'll give Mortal Kombat its props with are all the modes. You've got a bunch of ladder modes, you know, single ladder mode, tag team ladder mode. You've got test your might, test your strike, test your sight. It's test your luck. It's pretty cool that you've got all these features. For me, I've come to fighting games to play the fighting game. I only want to play the arcade mode or the story mode and figure that out and see how that works. Story mode is actually pretty nice. The only thing I don't like about it is that the story mode of the game forces you to play as every character, which I guess is a cool, you know, added bonus to the game. Whereas the ladder mode is the classic, you know, pick your character, only your character, beat all the characters up to the boss, and then you get an ending. A lot of the endings in the ladder mode don't seem to have anything to do with the story mode. So that's kind of a bummer, because I actually like the story of Mortal Kombat, and they've changed a lot of things. You know, I'm not going to be like, it's not the lore, so it sucks. I don't really care. But I noticed it, you know. And it's strange to me that people didn't bitch about these changes, but they bitched about the changes for the web series Mortal Kombat Legacy, when the Legacy changes actually made more sense than the ones in the game. So, I don't know. That's my opinion on the subject. Overall, though, this game to me is a rental. Rent it. See if you like it. If you are a hardcore fan and you like every single Mortal Kombat game, regardless of the presentation, regardless of the quality, regardless of the characters in the game, buy it. You'll love it. I promise, you'll fucking love it. But if you are like me and you're a fighting game fanatic, and there is a standard by which, you know, games need to be measured, and, you know, for me that's Third Strike or Tekken 6, then you're gonna gloss over this game. You'll rent it, like I said, you'll play through it, and you'll be like, you know, Mortal Kombat, yay, and then go back to playing what you play. You know, after I was done with this, I was kind of happy to go back and play Tekken 6 and get hustled by Azazel and then turn around and beat him, because, you know, one loss to Azazel, one cheap loss, versus, you know, umpteen fights with Shao Kahn where the rules of the match are completely different each time you play. That's not fun. You know, games are built on systems. You know, there's rules within the systems. You know, you can't keep on breaking them just so that your character beats you. It's not like I put quarters in the system. You know, back in the day that made sense. I want a challenge. I don't want to be cheated so that I can keep paying the game to play. You pay once, we get the game, now you own the game, end of story. Why does it need to still cheat me in the same, you know, manner that it used to do when we played in the arcade? That kind of programming just pisses me off. So like I said, rental. 100% rental. If you are, you know, into fighting games and martial arts, you'll immediately see all the problems. And you'll, you know, it'll piss you off. So anyway, I'm Strident, and that's been my review. You know, if you guys feel differently, as usual, get at me in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Peace.